Mayor and County Council District 9, starting with Mr. Kenoi.
This is Ken McDonald.
All right. Next, we'd like to say hello to Mr. Kim. And Mr. Shimaoka and Ms. Wille. All right. And now, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'd like to introduce Boy Scout leader Alan Honey and Boy Scout Kikani Palos. Please rise.
Scout salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's play ball. It's time to introduce each candidate and give them a chance for an opening statement. They'll have 2 minutes each, and we'd like to begin with Mr. Mayor Billy Kenoi.
Aloha. Aloha mai kako. Aloha. It's been an honor and a privilege serving as mayor of the beautiful island of Hawaii these last 4 years. And one of our goals was to bring our island together as one community. And toward that end, we made sure that half of our cabinet, that we had representation on both sides of the island, that we had department heads that reflected the entire island community. So we're very proud that for the first time we have our Parks and Rec Director, Mr. Bob Fitzgerald from West Hawaii, our first Housing Director, Mr. Steve Arnett, also out here from West Hawaii, and that we have department heads in planning, in research and development out here in West Hawaii. We've also visited 50 communities with our entire cabinet. We've been out here to Waikoloa every single year, not just myself, but our entire cabinet, to listen to the concerns of our communities and to respond. We knew that we had to protect public safety. In spite of the 4 most difficult economic challenging years that we faced as a county, we were able to reduce both the size and cost of government. When we took office, we had a government of $403 million. Today we have a government of $365 million after 4 years of reducing the cost of government. We've also cut 222 vacant funded positions to also move forward to being a government that we can afford. So we reduced the size, reduced the cost, but we're very proud that we were able to expand services, that we were able to build projects and complete them on time, on budget. The largest American Recovery Reinvestment Act project in the state of Hawaii is the Anekeaho-Kaloli Highway here in Kona. We were able, with federal funds, to build we get timing 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah,
anybody gonna give me one shaka?
I'll give one shaka. You got 10
okay. And so we're very proud that in spite of the challenges we all collectively face as a community, that we were able to get things done and we were able to provide programs and services we all needed. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Kenoi. All right, next we'd like to hear from former Mayor Harry Kim.
Excuse me. Can we move the mic stand? Because it's right, I mean, they're just going to pass the mic around. Because it totally blocks Harry. Thank you.
Gee, Rose, I thought you did that on purpose.
All right, here we go.
I'm not laughing at you, but when you talk, my ears go, my, what a nice voice you got, but I'm sure people tell you that all the time.
I am available for outgoing answer machine messages.
My name is Harry Kim. Worked for you for near 40 years. Background is of the administrator for LEA, Law Enforcement Assistance Administration, civil defense for 24 years, and as your mayor for 8 years. And one of the advantages of working for you so long is that I think you know to a great degree how I work and how I do things. For the first time, I made a small brochure to list some of the things, and I didn't want to do that, but I was told you have to do that because there are a lot of new people here that don't know of past, and they need to have something in writing to see what was done. I ask you to read that when you have time, please. I am proud of the way we work, and if someone asks me what is your main mission, regardless, hopefully some of you know of past, whether it be of civil defense, mayor, or LEA. I've always had one mission of your government. And as corny as it may sound, I really wanted you to trust your government. And I knew there was only one way to do that, is to be consistent in what I do in regards to you trusting us. And as I've said it from way back when, judge me for my work past. Once I gain your trust, I promise you to work every day to keep your trust. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Now I would like to hear from, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention earlier, please turn off your cell phones and let's hold all our applause, cheers, and whatnot until after the opening statements and questions. County Council candidate Sonny Shimaoka.
I feel like I'm at a disadvantage with the mayor and the former mayor because you folks have had an opportunity to see them in action. This is my first time running for county council. One of the things that I was thinking about coming down here was the very first question that I was asked was, why are you running? And my simple response is that I believe I have the tools and the skills to bring the county council together as one team, as one unit. We have an opportunity for 5 brand new council people in this next election. I've served for a little over 25 years as your Hawaii County Police Chaplain. I've served at so many different boards in the Kona community and now in Waimea at Kahele Aulani, which is the Native Hawaiian Health Clinic that's connected with North Hawaii Community Hospital. One of the things that's very evident to me as I'm going through the campaign is that I have been, I don't know if the word is destined for this position. For over 25 years, I've fostered so many relationships and friendships in our community that gives me, I don't want to say an inside track, but it gives me an open door because of the friendship factors that I've developed over the 25 years in the community, both in county and community organizations. So I believe that I will be a plus on your county council for District 9. Mahalo.
Thank you. Now we'd like to hear from County Council candidate Margaret Wille, please.
Margaret Wille, and I'm happy to be here with you, Waikoloa. Aloha. What this job is all about is drafting laws, amending laws, revising laws, and creating legal policies based on issues and policies and dreams and efforts in this community and around the other communities in our District 9. I think, as you obviously should know by now, both Sonny and I really care a lot. We're both dedicated. We're dedicated to collaborating with County Council, the mayor, whoever is the mayor right here, and as well as with our state legislators such as Malama, who is here, and our federal legislators, really working all together. These will be challenging times. We don't have time to bicker among ourselves. What I feel I bring additionally is qualifications. I've been an attorney for over 30 years, mostly doing land use development, but as well a lot of other issues that have come up in this community and others. And my awareness of those issues, I've also been involved with county issues for at least the past 6 years, testifying both before the County Council, the charter commissions, and a lot of the other council-related activities. I also have knowledge of this community and Waimea, South Kohala in particular, having been on the CDP steering committee. So I really learned a lot from people like Tom Kelly, who are here, and Ruth and others who are on that. And also, I have a proven record of how I've succeeded. You would be in Kona right now if it were not for the redistricting map that I pushed to keep you in this district.
Thank you, Ms. Wille.
Thank you.
All right, let me share something with you. The South Kohala Community Development Plan was adopted by the County Council and signed into law in 2008. It represented the ultimate exercise in democracy as it reflected the input from literally thousands of residents in South Kohala. The CDP is a comprehensive summary of the extensive collective efforts of the community to establish long-term goals in key areas identified as most important by our people in this community. It serves as an umbrella for the initial round of questions. These initial broad questions will be asked of each candidate. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to a question. To ensure fairness, the order in which the candidates will be asked to respond will alternate question to question. The audience will also have an opportunity to ask other questions in any area. Questions may be written on the sheets available for that purpose. Audience members should submit the proposed questions to Ruth and Lisa and our logistics team. Questions from the audience will be asked during the second portion of the program following the refreshment break. Are we ready? Let's begin with the first question for Mr. Kenoi. How have you been involved in and supported the CDP process? If elected, how would you support the CDP process with county resources for implementation and accountability towards those goals?
Well, the community development plans, when we took office in 2008, the Kona Community Development Plan had already been adopted, the Puna Community Development Plan, the South Kohala CDP, North Kohala CDP had been started. We had to appoint the members on that. We also started the Hamakua Community Development Plan, and we started the Ka'u Community Development Plan. And these community development plans are meant to have the voice of the community, to have meaningful input on a whole range of important issues, whether it was land use, recreation, traffic. So we have tried very hard to maintain commitments to community development plans that go beyond just planning, but actual implementation, that projects get done. We know it's important to support the community development plans, but we also know in the last few years that it's been a tough, challenging economic time, and we had to be fiscally responsible. It would have been nice to provide additional resources to the CDPs in every single district island-wide. Unfortunately, we had to maintain core critical government services in a tough time. We didn't want to raise taxes on any of our homeowners. We didn't want to impose any additional burdens during this challenging time. So we tried to provide the support we could with the resources we had. But most importantly, it's taking our government out into the communities, listening, sharing, understanding, and getting things done.
Thank you, Mr. Kenoi. Mr. Kim, same question.
I think a little background in regards to the CDP process. When I took office, you gave me the job in the first term, 2000, 2004. We all have visions or dreams of how we want government to work. It was clear to me that the plantation mentality of past of Hawaii had to be changed. I think a lot of you are originally from the mainland. I spent time there, and you know that Hawaii State, Hawaii County, I think I'm right, it is the only county government in the United States of America in regards to that state government, whether we have no municipality government below county government. And I think if you look at records way back when I was in civil defense and I was asked about government, I felt that government at that time, and this was maybe 20 years back, in regards I felt was getting more and more detached from working with people, feeling connected to their government. I had some brilliant planners with me that came up with the CDP process, and we pushed it in 2005 with the general plan. It was adopted by the council and general plan. And your moderator said, in short, what the CDP is all about. And I need you to focus on that. That was our goal, to make you feel closer to your government, to make you feel like you're a part of that government. And I felt that no matter what we did individually as mayors or council people, and you had to have those things established by law. And that's why we pushed it by law. And I'm very proud of the CDP process.
Thank you. Would anyone like me to reiterate the question? If anytime anyone wants me to, some of these are lengthy with multi-parts, so if anybody wants me to reiterate it, that's fine.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
All right. How have you been involved in and supported the CDP process? If elected, how would you support the CDP process with county resources for implementation and accountability towards these goals?
Okay. Margaret, Wille. I've been involved with the CDP committees long before I ever thought of running or was encouraged to run. As I said before, I was on the South Kohala CDP and helped to draft many sections of that and worked very hard to integrate so that we did not just have individual community plans, but we had a district-wide plan. And if you read the CDP, which I encourage you to do, it's really great. You'll see how each of the communities pretty much parallel the same concerns and interests. I advocated for the Puna CDP. I spoke at when it came up to county council. I spoke on behalf of pretty much all of the CDPs because I see us in the same boat for the same reasons that candidate Harry Kim spoke. This is our local government. We don't have anything else except for till you get up to county level. I fought to get the CDP and the action committees memorialized in the county charter. That was fought by the Lincoln Ashita and the planning department, and finally lost that by one vote, even though we had a majority. I continue to fight for this, and you will be heard if I'm elected. You will be heard. It will be a powerful entity. Thank you.
Mr. Shimaoka, same question.
Maybe I can advocate for a wireless mic the next time. Yeah. I'm a passionate advocate for home rule. I believe that if you're going to get anything done as far as projects, developments, or anything like that, that you need to involve all the players that's going to be directly involved in that project. One of the things that I know I cannot say the same things about the community development plans because this is my first time running, so I've been researching all of them. I really believe that one of the things that needs to take place, I know that in Waikoloa, there's several issues down here. One of the main ones that I think is not an evacuation road, but a road that's paved, that can be an egress. And one of the things that I would propose is that I would come to Waikoloa and say, you got to tell me what's the #1 priority that the CDP can, or the action committee can get behind, and I'll get behind you guys on that. The last forum we had over here, there were 8 issues. And the question that I asked was, how long has these 8 issues been on the table? It was over 25, 30 years. Same issues. And my opinion is that if we can get one solved within the next 2 years, I'd consider myself a successful county council guy.
Time.
Thank you.
All right, our second question. What is your commitment to planning and constructing a community center here in Waikoloa Village? What activities do you see being housed in our community center, such as meetings, recreational and sports activities, organizations, whatnot? And when do you envision a center opening in Waikoloa? This time we're going to start with Ms. Wille.
I look at this question as looking at a short-term answer and a long-term answer. In other words, I believe it's Riverbend, Waikoloa Riverbend has set aside 10 acres that would be able to be available for community center and disaster center. I see that as long-term, until they build, until they put in their development, which is, as I understand it, primarily commercial. that won't happen. So in the meantime, you could wait decades, depending on when they decide they're going to start. That's certainly an unknown to me. I know I met with a group at Dave's coffee shop, and we discussed this and tried to look at, okay, what could be done right now? One possibility was, well, what about Sharky's? Is that available? Or what about up at the stables? But the primary thing is to figure out what could be done right now in the interim until the long-term vision of that community center, whether it's the developer or the county, you all put pressure, let's get it built by the county and get it reimbursed, that would still be long-term. So that's how I see it, that we need to follow two tracks. It's very important, and whoever is elected needs you all to work with them, with me, with Sonny, to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kenoi, same question, please.
Well, like anything else, when we work together, when there's cooperation, collaboration, things get done. For example, just the other day, Ka'u has been waiting years, decades, for a disaster relief center and a new gym. And the Department of Education in partnership said, you know, this gym is project number 42 on the CIP list. It would have never got built. But in working with our senators and working with our representatives, what we did was get a direct grant from the state legislature to the county. And working together, we have a $17 million facility being built. We did the same thing in Punta Eva. What we're going to have to do is have federal, state, county partnerships to come in and help with the community center. With the park here at the Kamakua Nui Affordable Housing Project, we see a lot of housing projects that don't put the recreational facility until after the housing project is up. But we said no, our children need recreational opportunities here in Waikoloa, so we put the park in first. So now we have a beautiful park, so when the project and homes start to get sold and people moved in, we already have recreation. I talked to Bob Fitzgerald out here to talk about putting up covered courts, because our kids don't have a covered court. And the community's response was not just a covered court. If we're going to put a recreational facility up here, let's make it a community center too. And that is the project that we'll be working on. Federal, state, county partnerships, community-based partnerships with the county to make it happen.
Thank you, Mr. Shimaoka. Same question.
Sorry. You want me to? You know, it's like 30 seconds already, so I only did one.
No, I haven't started yet. Whoever gets elected has to get us a wireless mic, though.
There you go. You know, it's very evident to me that the issues that we have, the problems that we face in the Waikoloa community especially, whether we're going to do the evacuation road, the intersection there at Waikoloa and Paniolo, the community center, gymnasium. I was interviewed a couple weeks ago by the Tribune Herald, and he asked me, how are you going to solve the problem? I think a lot of the problems are so complex that you're going to need complex answers. And one of the ways that I see it is that in order to solve one issue, you're going to have to come up with several answers. It also involves collaboration with both from the public and private sector. And everybody, you know, my theme for my election has always been for our community. Unless the community can get on the same page and attack a common enemy, we're not going to defeat the enemy. We got to come together. And so you're going to have to look at, again, so many solutions to solve one problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kim, same question, please.
I think the reality of that answer has been answered as far as a time element. No one here on this table will disagree with the importance of getting a very nice community center, especially for isolated communities like Waikoloa. And if you were neighboring very close to Waimea, there's a community center there, and obviously it would not be such a high priority, but you are isolated, so that makes it a little more important here to have that kind of facility here. But the reality of it is, has been expressed here. I think that one more thing I would add to that, because we have been a little successful in getting the private sector to see if they can join with the community for high priority projects. And this project has been identified as high priority, and when future developments come here, I think it is very important that the government work with the private sector to see how they can join hands in developing things that is important to this community. But the reality is this kind of CIPs, as far as money, is not there for us to grab. It's something we're going to have to work for, and as expressed by Ms. Wille here, that it's going to be taking all of the combination of people to make this happen.
Thank you. All right, our next question, and Mr. Kim will be responding first, is, has progress been made to plan, fund, design, and construct needed roadways in Waikoloa Village? Specifically, how would you get the Paniolo extension built to route traffic to the new Kamakoa Nui Park? As an ingress-egress road to Waikoloa Village, as a county leader, how would you address the need for a second permanent ingress-egress road to Waikoloa Village for the increased traffic, and especially for use in emergencies such as a brush fire? Mr. Kim.
Thank you. I know that has been a very important issue for Waikoloa community. Again, you are an isolated community. The advantage of your ingress, egress, if you have one going up and one going down. And obviously you've had experience in regards to where fires have cut it off in regards to evacuation. I think the answer to that is you have a temporary one, and I think that needs to be made permanent one. The military has expressed interest in joining hands with the county government to make this happen. In regards to making it happen, it's just something we have to pursue. I am glad of one thing as far as the isolation of Waikoloa. First of all, your only hazard that you really have to make emergency escape immediate would be that of fire. Naturally, thank God no tsunamis will ever reach here. And if anything of the volcano, there'll be so much adequate time, but you're in a zone, what we call zone 8. There's only 9 lava zones, and 9 is the safest, and that's North Kohala, and you're 8. So, any prospect of volcano eruption, threatening evacuation is a real remote thing. But in regards to fire and possibility of some floods we've had in the past, we need to work on it, and it's like the community center. It's going to take work of cooperation of all agencies to get it done.
Thank you. Mr. Shimaoka, same question.
I talked with officials from the Department of Public Works, and I agree with Mr. Kim that seems to be a feasible option right now, is to go ahead and work with the military, again, private organizations, people that want to come together to pave that road. Again, it's us getting together and deciding is that the priority that we can pick up from the CDP. Thank you.
Next is Mr. Mayor Kenoi. Same question.
Thank you. Well, with the road to Kamakoa Nui, the extension of the Paniolo extension fell upon 2 developers, Waikoloa Heights and Waikoloa Land. Waikoloa Heights asked for an extension under PUD, and we denied it because they did not build Paniolo extension. Then it shifted to Waikoloa Land. Waikoloa Land has said they don't have the resources, so we're going to build Paniolo extension. We just figured it out with housing. We were able to secure monies. Next week we go out for professional service contract because it needs to be redesigned in phases. But we told Waikoloa Heights and Waikoloa Land, you will not be allowed to proceed with your projects until you pay the county back for the money we put into that road. They don't get off the hook, but we can no longer wait for them to fulfill their obligations and commitments to this community. And so we're hoping to begin construction in early 2013. Because we want to mitigate and alleviate impact on traffic on the Waikoloa community, and that Paniolo extension has to go back because that part will be heavily used by our children and our community, which is the purpose. So we're hoping to begin construction in early 2013 at this point in time. So we'll do the first phase of Paniolo extension, starting redesigning next week. and early construction in 2013.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Wille, same question, please.
Can I get you to repeat the question?
Has progress been made to plan, fund, design, and construct needed roadways in Waikoloa Village? Specifically, how would you get the Paniolo extension built to route traffic to the new Kamakoa Nui Park? As a county leader, how would you address the need for a second permanent ingress-egress road to Waikoloa Village for the increased traffic and especially for use in case of emergencies such as a brush fire?
Okay. On the first question as to Paniolo Drive, I think Mayor Kenoi pretty much summed up the situation. That the county go ahead and build the road and require the developers, I believe it would now be Waikoloa Land that's in control, that they are not able to build until they repay the county. What's important to me is that we learn a lesson, and we don't seem to learn the lesson that we either should have the infrastructure built first or at minimum that it's bonded, because that development could go on as investment property and be resold and resold indefinitely. So, you know, I support responsible development, but you gotta be accountable. You can't promise the community things and not come through. So this is all about concurrency, and we need to have plans and policies in place and not do things on a case-by-case negotiation with each development. Second, as to the escape route, I think this is critical, and it is on the CIP, the capital improvement project list, and we need to make it happen. And we need to make it happen. I don't know which route is best. I mean, I really would look to the administration, see what the options are, and see what you all have to say.
All right. What action would you take to assure that new housing developments are built concurrently with needed new roads, parks, and community facilities before occupancy is permitted at a subdivision? Great follow-up. Starting with Mr. Shimaoka.
Well, it's kind of like what Ms. Wille said. I would make sure that developers, and I think it just makes sense, common sense, that they would take care of infrastructure first, which has been a common problem, I think, over the years on our island, and you know, not in the recent years, but many years, has been infrastructure issues, and so we need to take care of that. I believe, again, you involve people that will contribute, and again, is that something that we want to consider a priority? You know, I know with Kamakoa, you had that housing. I did a blessing a couple months ago that they finished the affordable housing project at Kamakoa. And so do we need another one in Waikoloa at this point? I don't know. It'll be up to you guys.
All right. Next is Ms. Wille, same question.
Okay, I discussed concurrency in my last question, but I want to stress why I think this is so important, particularly here, and I also see the infrastructure Waimea. Getting the funds to provide for the emergency road is essential, not just for you all, but also in case there was a tsunami, in case there was the worst case volcanic eruption, or something on another part of the island, because I see Waikoloa and Waimea as the most logical host communities. When the tsunami happened, as I recall, this whole area filled up with people, as did the Parker Ranch parking lot. So, and we need these projects, but our county is pretty close to bankrupt. In fact, we're putting off paying debts that we need to have. So we're going to have to also collaborate and work with the federal level and state level. And that's what a lot of you all helped me do in terms of working with Malama Solomon and working with the governor, being instrumental in having the governor reverse his veto threat on money that would go to the hospital. So we got to work together, and we got to work together on the federal level as well as the state level and get these things done.
Time.
Thank you.
Mr. Kim, same question.
Right now you have to excuse me because inside I'm beaming, and I'll tell you what I'm beaming about. Number one was the CDP, and I think it's clearly documented that there was an idea coming from our administration and the why, which was so adequately stated. The other is now on concurrency. For those of you not familiar with that, we came up with that requirement. In short, to develop, for any kind of development to proceed, it has to be concurrent with the infrastructure needs. There was a result of a project in Kona, and we reviewed it, I vetoed it, and the reason we stated was that Queen-Omana Highway was at maximum. And any addition to Queen-Omana Highway obviously would be way past what the state identified as maximum. And so the terminology concurrency policy, that any future development, the infrastructure development, must be in concurrency with the development itself, and I'm very proud of that.
All right, Mr. Kenoi, same question.
First of all, I have to respond to my friend Margaret that the County of Hawaii is not near bankruptcy. In fact, this past June, the Fitch, Moody's, Standard & Poor all affirmed our excellent credit rating. We submitted 4 balanced budgets. We collect less than taxes, and we have a smaller government, but we are on sound financial footing. I just want to let everybody know that. With regards to concurrency, any project or proposed development has to consider its potential impacts, traffic impact, impacts on surrounding schools, services, program, police, fire. Any proposed project that comes before the county, we have to ensure that we mitigate and address any impact. And so that's part of the conversation that we have with any impact. The county's responsibility, of course, is to ensure that our residents, that our communities have critical core county government services provided. When we are now doing Kamakana Villages, the largest state affordable housing project right there in Kona, off of the Anekeaho Kaluli Highway, we made sure that the highway conformed to the community development plan and provided transient-oriented design. And we ensured that when we put in the highway, that every proposed development along that way paid their fair share. And that's what it's all about. It's a partnership, it's a collaborative effort, and we all have to work together to make sure that we address the impacts of projects.
Thank you very much. All right, our last question before we take a little break and then get back with questions from the audience. And we'll be going in the same order that we started out with. Here we are. Waikoloa Village residents have complained about the rubbish trucks using Waikoloa Road to haul trash from Hilo. How would you resolve the solid waste management issue resulting from the closure of the Hilo landfill? Mayor Kenoi.
Thank you very much. We have 3 options on the table to address our solid waste, our municipal solid waste. They've put expanding the Hilo landfill, which isn't feasible because of the prohibitive costs associated with high rainfall and the leachate challenges that will come from that. The community has stated clearly that trucking from Hilo to Kona to Pu'uanahulu is not a desired outcome or a preferred alternative. So the real alternative is H-Power. We have 205 tons of trash generated every day in East Hawaii, 332 tons of trash generated every day in West Hawaii, for a total of 537 tons of trash. Now, H-Power for 20 years has been operating cleanly and safely on the island of Oahu. No adverse impact on Waikiki or the hospitality industry, no adverse impact on the community or in a very congested community. Now, H-Power has been proven safe in the state of Hawaii. What does H-Power do? H-Power burns 2,100 tons of trash a day, 4 times the capacity of the county of Hawaii. And it produces 57 megawatts of energy, powering 40,000 homes. That's what we need on our island. That it's a commodity, that we have to use it to create energy and continue to move Hawaii Island towards a sustainable, renewable energy future.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kim, same question.
I find it really interesting at this point. For some of you who have been here a few years and have kept track, you know that we follow the solid waste plan as proposed, and one of it was find alternate ways in regards to landfill. And before that, I've always said it, landfill is the greatest waste of resource. And we could not really get a lot of support at that time in regards to community. I'm so glad to see now that we all support it, because you know where it started from. And we came that close, I think 1 vote, Mr. Hoffman, in regard to getting it passed. All the studies were done, the proposals went in, the one proposal was selected, 1 vote short of having that to become reality. And the council did change it, turn it down, and in their mind, rightfully so, because it was in their mind too expensive. All the arguments of the solid waste converted to waste to energy was our proposal. And I asked Mr. Kenoi, quite frankly, that was one of the reasons to get into this race, because of major disappointment that this county did nothing to pursue that after it was turned down. Yes, we extended the landfill, but we told everybody, we would not support, under any circumstances, an additional landfill. And going back to the office, if you give me a job, we will pursue it again.
Time. Ms. Wille, same question.
Well, I agree with all that both Mayor Kenoi and Harry Kim said, and I think we need to move along. I appreciate that Mayor Kenoi has done various pilot projects and evaluated different alternatives, and I think we all come down to waste to energy as the optimal choice. The H-Power looks to be, there was a whole report done on the various projects and what the outcomes are, and you all might be very interested in reading that. It's really worthwhile. At the same time, all of the technology is moving very fast. It may be that we decide we're going to slow down and wait a little longer before we implement some of these policies. But I think the next step is really getting in the individual projects and proposals. Maui, I believe, has 60 different proposals how to do it. You will still have some ash, at least like 10%, 15% that you need to use. But the first thing I feel that we need to do right away is get all of what we call green waste and turn it into green diamonds and use that for the mulch and fertilizer, and stop importing what we really have here and we're treating as garbage. So we need to do much better at recycling. We're sorting at like 30%. It should be 75%, and those are our starting points. I would look for the.
Sorry, Mr. Shimaoka, same question.
One of the things that I'm discovering with human nature, well, I think you guys know the same thing, is that a lot of times we wait till it's pushed to shove. My question is, why was it just 1 vote that stopped it? Why wasn't the county council on the same page saying, hey, we're pushed to shove 8 years ago, or 10 or even 15 years ago? We don't have any alternative with the Hilo landfill, from what I understand. My temporary solution, and I don't know if I'm going to get booze from this, but I know one of the things that the maintenance does is when they work on the highways, they work at night because of traffic. And I don't know how Mayor Kenoi would take this, but I would suggest that if we're going to run rubbish trucks, let's run it when nobody else is on the road. Well, not run them at all. We go H-Power, but the jury's still out for me on H-Power, because I just saw a presentation on incineration and gasification and whether they got enough technology to ensure that the ash and all of that gets captured in the filters and all of that. So, I think we're pushed to shove. So we've got one alternative, and H-Power is the other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a thrilling evening so much. How about a round of applause for our candidates up here on stage? And thank you all for coming out tonight. I know it's Friday, and there's no more fun place to be than right here. So please submit questions to the back table there.